The Order 1886 is the perfect example for a game that puts so much emphasis on graphics and quote-unquote storytelling that it completely forgot that it was an actual game. You know, when the first wave of reviews started pouring out from the gaming review teat, I was pretty surprised to see just how low the scores had been. Up until this point, review sites have been wanking it to just every game that labels itself as cinematic or thought-provoking. So it was a little jarring to see one get such a resounding meh. Right from the first interview, it suggested the Order 1886 would take more of a focus on showcasing the tech of the, at the time, newly released PS4, and also telling a compelling narrative. I mean, granted, anyone who had been keeping track of the game's development could figure out the Ready at Dawn produced title wouldn't exactly wow everyone on the gameplay side of things, choosing instead to focus more on story and graphical fidelity. Maybe I could find something the game critics were missing, a little diamond in the rough that really needed to be reevaluated. Once I put in the game, I realized I was so very wrong. To give credit where credit is due, the game does shine visually thanks to its steampunk setting and the access to new hardware that it had at the time, but holy crap is the story some of the most cliched, boring, and uninspired material made from these story-focused games. Set in an alternate history London during the year 1886, the game follows the legendary Knights of the Round Table as they battle to keep the world safe from half-breeds such as Lycans and vampires, as well as fringe organizations rebelling against the government. Meanwhile, the main character, Sir Galahad, slowly uncovers a plot that threatens to destroy the Order from the inside. Did that sound familiar? Did that sound at least like 30 other movies you've watched? Good. Because that's what it is. It's the typical everything you know isn't true and the people you work for are the bad guys and blah blah blah, we've heard it a million times before. Oh, and there's vampires. Spoilers, I guess? Really, with the combination of werewolves, vampires, and a group of humans fighting against them, you're probably better off watching the Underworld films for a more compelling story. Yeah, you heard me. The Underworld franchise, with a quality best described as almost being worthy of being on the Sci-Fi Channel, tells a better and more interesting story than a game like The Order, where its whole development was based on telling an amazing story. Well, if the graphics are nice and the story is forgettably drab, what about the gameplay? Surely, while the focus was in other fields, they must have tried something unique with the gameplay. Surely! People, hold up. I'm hearing reports now that not only is the story completely unoriginal, but the gameplay is every average third-person shooter ever. Well, come on, James, there must be more, right? There just needs to be more. You can fight werewolves in tight enclosed areas, and half the fights are just quick-time events. And the AI on the werewolves is so dumb, all you need to do is hide in a corner as they come to you. And it's not like the human AI is much better either. While we're talking about the human enemies, I have a question. What's the deal with the pajama outfits? Seriously, who came up with these designs? I feel like I just popped in on a sleepover and slaughtered everyone. I guess the one saving grace is that while the third-person cover shooting is an important part of the gameplay, you also have a variety of other gameplay choices like picking up and studying pointless objects that neither add to the game or the experience. Or what about walking around so slowly that when you can finally do a light jog, you feel like the fucking Flash? I guess that's the best way to summarize this game. Slow. Maybe they could have saved some money and instead of making a game, could polish the cutscenes to produce a semi-decent, fully rendered CG film akin to what Resident Evil and Final Fantasy has done before. It's never fun to trash an experimental game. One that tries to push certain boundaries for the genre, but when it completely falls flat on its face in the departments it tries to advance, the criticism is necessary. Oh yeah, it takes a full 25 minutes to actually reach any kind of gameplay. Who the hell thought that was a good idea for a video game?